Good morning, everybody. It's Mallory Smythe on behalf of Endow. So a couple months ago, my husband, I, and a few friends got to go see the play Hamilton. This was a huge deal to me. I've been listening to the soundtrack ever since it came out. I love history, I love Broadway, and at this time, Hamilton seems to be the crown jewel of musicals. For a while, it was incredibly expensive to go see it in New York, and so I was so excited when it came to Denver, and we were able to go see it for a reasonable price. The play was amazing, but as I started to drive away, something started kind of creeping up in my heart that I noticed, which was, great, what's next? Something that I had spent so many months getting so excited for, when it was over, it was just over. And I was wondering what the next thing was that could make me that excited. Have you ever had this experience where you want to get a material item, or you want to have a vacation experience, or maybe you want to be in a relationship with a person, and once that thing happens, it's just happened. And it didn't feel you like you thought it would, and you're wondering what's next. This is an illustration of what it means for us to worship. See, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but humanity just worships. We don't have to acknowledge that we worship. We don't have to believe in a God to worship. We just worship. Because we know that built into us is a lacking. We know that we aren't what we could be. And so we look to the outside things to fill what we know we lack. And see, this is actually our original sin. God created us so that we could be filled with Him, that we could walk in relationship with Him, that we could give Him our mind, our time, our plans, that we could give Him ourselves, and that He could fill us, and that we could rest on being filled by Him. But yet we chose to worship creation. And so we go from one thing to the next in our lives, hoping that it fills us, and being disappointed when it doesn't. Think about the actual posture of worship. The actual posture of worship is to kneel before something and to place that thing above us. So when we're worshiping something that's created, we're putting that created thing above us that was never meant to be above us in the first place. And so we can never rise above what we're worshiping. If we worship materialism or success or money, we can never be better than the best of those things. And therefore, it leaves us to be disappointed, and we tend to look for something new, but we tend to forget that we can worship our Creator. See, I was reading the daily readings this morning, and in Hosea chapter 11, it says, "They did not know I was their healer." We can search and search and search, but until we recognize that it is only in worshiping God that He places us in our correct order, and that we can truly find rest and truly find freedom, we will just continue to search. And so I just ask you, what is it that you are placing above you in your life? What is that thing that you are giving yourself over? Is it your job? Is it your relationships? Is it something material? Is it being something to somebody else? If you give your worship over to God, He will order everything else. If you allow Him to fill up your mind, your heart, your time, if you place yourself only below Him, He will place you only a little lower than the angels, which is where you are meant to be in the first place. Could you imagine what it would look like if we as Catholics started to dive into the heart of God and truly give Him our worship over everything else on a practical day-to-day level? How would culture change? How would we change? How could we find rest in that? So if you want to dive more into God's heart, if you want to dive more into the heart of the church, you can do that by diving into an Endow study at www.endowgroups.org. You can connect with us on Instagram and Facebook, or you can at Endow Groups, or you can connect with me at Mallory A. Smythe on Instagram. Have a wonderful week, and do some contemplation on where lies your worship. Give it to God.